I'm here for this puzzle session, and today we'll continue to play mating 2 puzzles starting from puzzle 51 to 75. And the idea is that for each puzzle we have 1 minute to think about a solution, and you can type in the chat the move you think is the best, and it will be displayed on the board to show you. To write a move, you simply type plus and then the coordinates of the starting point of the piece and the coordinate of the arrival. So if I want to move the king here as the first move for the combination, I simply type plus 34, because 34, and 24 if I want to go there. And I will simply solve this one, which was the puzzle number 50 we played last time. So the idea was to remove the thread there and then checkmate here. And now let's go for the first puzzle of today. And as you can see, yeah, there is the timer of 1 minute. So try to find a checkmate in 2 moves, and every move you play must check the enemy. But before that, make sure that the king is safe and that there is no troubles. Because in this application, if king oppose, it's considered as lost. Alright, so here, if we pay careful attention, the king is already check. So there is 2 possibilities to prevent check. The first one is to take the cannon, but that won't be a solution satisfying, because if we take the cannon, then cannon takes and that's check again, and we can't checkmate. Of course, what we want to do is to use the fact that the king is very blocked on that last row, so with the rook for example, but we can't take neither with one neither with one. So the solution is 8695. Take the central file in order to prevent the cannon from checking, and once it's blocked, because it was the only move since the pawn was checking, now it is possible to checkmate, and we can checkmate with the pawn, with the rook like this, or even with the pawn, since the elephant is covering this square for fleeing. And there 8696 was suggest this one and this one, but the solution was here to prevent and to avoid the cannon to come back. So let's go to the next one. You missed the plus sign. You put a degree. Yeah. It's okay. So here the king is very safe, no check, no position threat, and we already see that the fortress is quite weak, there is only one guard, and if we achieve to put a pawn or a rook defended and not attacked in the center, then it's checkmate because there's no square to flee. And here the elephant is providing already a good support on the square 95, so as the two solutions suggested, we can go with the rook and after with the pawn, and that's checkmate, and we can simply do the alternative way, so 86, 95, and finish with the rook here. And basically the key to solve that was to notice that the elephant was kind of already threatening there, so count to 3, like 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, so if a rook or a pawn is there, then it's over. And let's go for a new one. Okay, this one is funny. Hi, welcome. Here the idea is to think about this square and this square, because if we are able to threaten the king in that row, then it is locked because of its own pieces and it would assure a checkmate. The first idea maybe would be to put the rook there, but there is a knight here preventing, and we can sacrifice the rook here, and there is only draw take because the king cannot take back because of the pawn there, and now we are free to finish here because there's no way to flee. In games, hey June, good to see you again there. What time is it in Japan here now? So June is a very strong Japanese player, and we played together in the final of the foreign championship, and I haven't seen him back yet, and we have to play together at some point, but good to have you there. So in game, when you put your king in the side, be careful because sometimes rook can bring those kind of checkmate. For example, if a knight is there, then if the rook is here, that could also be kind of checkmate. So this is a pattern that can happen in some games. There was another solution. It was simply to bring the rook. The only move forced is the knight, and now take with this one, for example, and since the pawn blocks, it's over and it's checkmate. Okay, let's go for the new one. cannon in center of palace is often not very good, as we already saw that in other streams, because it blocks a lot. And here we don't have so much possibilities, because we need to check. There's no risk for king. We could check there, but that's not really helpful, so the only idea is to bring that rook there, and now we simply checkmate, because there's nothing that can prevent. So Mokona, you suggested this 7493. Yeah, 7493. Because of that, knight doesn't help. So the idea is to use the fact that the board are not linked and the king is not so active in order to punish with the double rook that are doing a great job here, like this. And that's enough for that puzzle. Okay. It's a bit of a mess here, like 2 rooks. So, as I said at the very beginning of the stream, you can try to type your own solutions by putting plus and then the beginning coordinate of the move and the arrival coordinate. So here Mokona and me decided to suggest that move, because here this cannon may be doing a great job controlling the last row, but since here it's a cannon and it can't be removed, that will be useless. But we have 3 pawns in the fortress, and if we are able to put a pawn in the center and that protected, that would be checkmate. So the idea is to remove the defender by checking there, and now we can enter here and checkmate. We could have done the same and finish here. Basically that's the same idea. So use the fact that pawn gain mobility in the fortress and remove the defender before. And let's go for a new one. This one is a bit more tricky than some we have seen already in this stream. Not the easiest. What? They're here. We may be interested to checkmate there, but that's not checkmate because there is a rook here. So observe very well the position in order not to being surprised because of those moves. Same for the pawn, that doesn't work. But if we are careful, we can see that this elephant here is threatening the center of the fortress. And if we are able to put a rook once there is no defense, it's checkmate. The idea is to kind of force taking here and checkmate after. There is another variation, and I will show you right now. So pawn push, and here the king may go here. That's the other solution. But in that case, we can checkmate with the rook here, because the knight is covering that square, or with the rook here, like this. This is a checkmate. So those were the two solutions to remove that guard in order to checkmate because it's protected by the elephant, or to push the king to a square where it can escape checkmate. Yeah, those 9 square here, they are called the fortress. And let's go for the new puzzle. There is 2-3 different manner to checkmate here, if I'm not wrong. Okay, I was thinking about that solution by elephant. There's no elephant here in the position. The ideas are quite different. The first one that was suggested and was also my first idea is to kind of block, and here the elephant take the pawn and we can deliver checkmate because the rook is protected and a rook close to the king in the fortress does checkmate. Here the king could have flee here and we could have simply checkmate after that. Another idea is to see that this square is not defending. Oh, okay, sorry. That square is not defended here, and again try to check in order to now bring the rook here, and that's checkmate. And actually, that would be same with the pawn. And a last and different idea is to use the knight, and now this square and this square is controlled, so we can simply block the king with the rook. And those were the 3 solutions, and with different ideas. This one is using the fact that rook close to the king is checkmate. This one is using the fact that the rook or the pawn in the center of the thread, if there is no defense, is checkmate. And the last one is blocking the squares to conclude here. And let's go. Okay, this one is also interesting. In that puzzle, there is one thing to notice to begin, is that the king can be quickly in opposition. If, for example, check here, king here, and now there is an opposition, so we need to close it with checkmate, and we can't do it so easily. And the other thing to notice is that this knight will play a very important job. Write a plus just before your move if you want it to be considered by the engine. we take here in order to bring the king somewhere else, and also we have some support with that rook. And now the king are opposed, and we need to close the opposition. And there is two solutions to close the opposition. The first one is this one, but it doesn't work because of the knight. But there is another solution, is to close with the pawn. And here it's checkmate because the knight is also delivering check, the pawn is delivering check, and the pawn is protected because of the rook. So the idea was to think about that knight that would deliver checkmate. If we would have taken with the rook here, then it's lost, because we could do double check here with the rook and the knight, but the rook is not covered, and then the combination is lost. And 91, 96, yeah, that doesn't work in that case. So let's go to the new one. Yeah, the second pawn move is delivering checkmate because of double check, and is also covering the opposition that would make us lose the game. So yeah, a lot in for a single pawn, but yep, sorry, didn't launch the timer. Okay, so here the king, there is no risk of opposition and no check. What we can see is that this knight is controlling that square and that one. We can see that if we move the rook wherever it is check because of the elephant. And we can also see that this knight may soon be able to control those squares if that knight is out. So the idea is to remove the knight by playing 87, 97. And then how do we achieve checkmate? We use the fact that the elephant controls that square and the knight controls this one, and we can simply checkmate here because the kings go there. Valentin suggested 87, 84. So that does check indeed because of the elephant. And now is there a way of checkmate in one move? I don't think so, because the center cannot be applied. No. What I was thinking, but it didn't work, was to bring the rook there and to bring the knight, because the knight would control the center and this one, the elephant does this square and this square, but since the rook can be interposed, then it's not checkmate. If the rook wasn't here, it would be a very nice checkmate with the elephant and the knight, but here it wasn't working. And even if the rook can go to any square, I'm not sure I see a winning solution different from removing the knight. So the idea was to remove the knight, and now that's even a double check with the knight, so we could even go here. Oh, not here because it's blocking the knight. No, simply here to conclude. Alright, next one. There's a lot of red material and there's a lot of pawn in that fortress. Those situations are very unexpected. I guess that's for the old puzzle. 87, 84, 74, 86. Oh yeah, maybe 98, 77 checks. Yeah, could have worked, don't remember so much. Let me write the solution there. No, I wanted to type plus 73, 74. Okay, I messed up the coordinates here, and the idea is that this pawn is protecting the center, so the king can't flee, but that pawn is not protected. So if we are able to check there, then there is only one square remaining, and that knight is now gaining influence to that square, because before it was locked. So we can checkmate with the rook here, because the knight now is controlling that square, or we can checkmate by bringing the rook close to the king in that situation. So the idea is to use the knight and to use the fact that the king can't leave to the center far from the action and the pieces. Maybe we could have used that rook. Yeah, we could have done the same here. That's basically the same idea. Yeah, maybe you have some delay, and there is also delay because of the of the streaming algorithm of YouTube. And I try to minimize that and to give extra time for writing, but still the chat is a bit laggy. So there's no solution for this. Going with the pawn here, bring the kings here, and now we cannot finish the king. Alright, next one, and this is puzzle 61. And we'll go until puzzle 75. Alright, here no big deal for the kings, it's well hidden, no risk, because there's a lot of material on the board. And the important piece to notice is this cannon that can have an influence, and indeed, if we remove what's here in order to try to bring a rook, this is 1, 2, 3, and there is only 1 and 2 defense. So we go with the pawn before, quad take, and now rook checkmate. The diagonal was already controlled by the pawn, so it's okay. But in that case, if pawn takes, the king could have flee here, but we could simply checkmate there since those two squares are controlled. No, like that. I show you that's. Kings go there, and now checkmate. There's no way to go here. No piece to put, and no cannon that would have been able to take the rook. And that's it for this puzzle. If I'm not wrong, in our first puzzle stream we played a puzzle that was very similar to that one. Like the idea was exactly the same. Alright, here the idea may be to checkmate, like directly, but there is a cannon that prevents us to do that. And we can also see that we could remove that cannon, and that's simply the solution to do. And now, since there is no defense, we can checkmate that way. The other solution that would have been quite the same if pawn takes, king takes, and rook does checkmate here, since the guard is blocking the general from fleeing. Now, since there is no cannon, checkmate. The other solution is interesting to see. I simply show you there. Cannon take, king take, and this is also a classic checkmate that can happen. Often in real games there is a risk of threats like that, but because there is a cannon here very often in games, but here that would checkmate if there is no piece to protect here. So remember that typical checkmate pattern. And we'll go for the next puzzle. Two solutions, as far as I can see. I mean, two different ideas, maybe more solutions. So two kinds of solution. The first one, which is kind of greedy solution, simply use the fact that we have a lot of material here, and if we put a rook there and the protected one, it's checkmate. So we can already see that the knight is controlling, so rook here, rook checkmate. The other variation is to remove the defender with the pawn or the rook and checkmate. We could remove it with the rook and now checkmate with plenty of ways. But there is another solution a bit different, is to check here, so that there is only one move, and now the king is blocked and cannot retreat here, so we simply finish with the pawn or the rook, could be the same. That one was not the most complicated, because a lot of combination would include maybe even things like this. No. but still that was enough. And let's go for puzzle 64. Yeah, take rook. Works very well. And there is not so much material for red, but we know that the checkmate exists. Okay, so 3 suggestions and everyone has the same idea. Indeed, the cannon won't achieve so much because no support to jump. The elephant is really stuck and can only cover here. That pawn is useless, and there is only the rook and this pawn that may be doing a good job. We could think about checking here, but there's nothing, and he could even bring there, and there's no way to checkmate here because it's not protected. So the last possibility is to check here with the rook, and here a knight there, and we have a checkmate with the rook in the center as usual, or the pawn. That's the same idea. And yeah, there is the funny solution just suggested by June, which is to check the king with the diagonal, and that does exactly the same job. Yeah, well, I missed this one. And the other solution is that if the kings flee here, that's the same conclusion. So well done for finding that, and well done for finding the diagonal check also. It was good. And let's go. Whoop. I think I jumped one. Not so easy to go back, so we'll simply jump one. Sorry. This one is a bit more tricky. The solution is to kind of checkmate using what we said before. If we are able to put our rook here, that would be checkmate because the guard here blocks the king from fleeing, and if no piece can be put right there to protect. So bringing the rook here because it's protected by cannon doesn't achieve anything because checking here is not checkmate. But we simply sacrifice a rook in order to remove the knight, and now we can checkmate here because the knight could have come back there, but now it's too far away and the king is blocked as we said before. No, I just clicked to time, but we'll play the puzzle we forgot just before. Here it is, 65. Let's go. Two kinds of solutions here. also. There's a lot of material for red in Blue's Fortress, so it's kind of matting net. There's a lot of solutions that does the same in the end, and we'll explore some of those. I'm not sure. Taking like the cannon? No, it's one of the solutions that doesn't work. So here, same idea is to simply see that there is a lot of threats in the middle, and we go with the rook, for example. We can checkmate here because the rook is covering this square. We can checkmate here using the fact that the pawn protects. We could have gone with the pawn before and the rook after. So these are all the checkmate for the central, and we can also try to checkmate with the border of the fortress, because the only move was to take, and now we can checkmate using the support of that rook and the fact that the king cannot flee. 85, 95 was also working, just pushing the pawn and using the protection there. That was a quite easy one, and we'll now jump to the puzzle. 67. Let's. No, I missing. Okay, 67. That's it. Let's go. And I will try not to jump puzzles. I didn't know what the puzzle was before, but indeed it was not the most tricky and the most interesting one. Okay, this one is very easy because yeah, that's the only solution that is check. But the question is, why isn't that move checkmate directly? Because the king can go here, there's no possibility to go there and there. So why this is not directly checkmate? It's because of the cannon. The cannon can and must actually go back there, and now it's checkmate. Yeah, and it's checkmate before this cannon is controlling the center, like king here, and then it's over. That was a very boring puzzle. I hope we'll get more lucky next. There's a lot of red material here. Let's go. Alright. So here, if we have a look at the position, yeah, we can see that our king is checked, and that means we have to remove the defender and check. We could take that cannon with the elephant, but that wouldn't deliver check. Hey Antonio, welcome there. We could take with the pawn or with the rook, and actually it will do exactly the same. So I will begin with the pawn. The cannon, if there is a pawn, that's check with the pawn, but it's double check with the cannon, and the king cannot flee there because of the rook and the cannon. So the only solution is to take there, and now since the elephant is protecting, this is checkmate. The other variation was to take with the rook before, and now checkmate here with the pawn. This is a bit more subtle because this square is covered by the cannon and the central is covered by the elephant and the pawn is still protected with the elephant. So that's all for this one, but the idea is to simply remove the cannon was checking, and that does checkmate because that's an exercise. And let's play the next one. Okay, there is a small trap in this puzzle. A trap just to see if you are paying attention. Oh, and Antonio fell in the trap. Indeed, the idea is to kind of checkmate here, because king cannot go here and the pawn is protected by the elephant, so 83, 84 seems to checkmate, but the first thing to check is that our king is not threat before. And we can simply remove the defense and now deliver checkmate. So first step, check that the king is not threatened and that there is no opposition risk, and after think about what's good to do in terms of attack. 65, no, sorry, 51, 81. Sorry, I'm lost. Oh, 51, 81. Yeah, same problem. They're still check. Alright, let's play the next one. And Antonio, don't put a minus sign between the two coordinates, just put everything straightforward, plus the beginning coordinates and the arrival coordinates of the piece, and it will work fine. So here, if I'm not wrong, the only way to achieve check is to move the knight, and we have two squares here and here, and if we go there, then we are not able to achieve checkmate because rook there is protected by the guard, so that's not checkmate, and the only way to deliver check is to go here. So the idea, and I just saw it after the timer, is to bring the knight here in order to control that square, and now the king is forced to go here, and we cannot, the elephant is controlling there, but if we put a rook here, then it's not checkmate. So the idea is to see that the two rooks are cooperating there, and we can simply checkmate with the control of the two rooks. And well done for finding it. The solution was 9372 and not 9374, and I also missed that at the very beginning. Alright, checkmate. And let's go for puzzle 71. Not so complicated. Yeah, in Western chess also, like I don't know, maybe the double rank checkmate, this kind. I think, I'm not sure 9374 was working, because if king 86, then there was no way to checkmate, for what I noticed. Yeah, here not so much, because there's only like two ways to check, here and here. We cannot even check with the diagonal because it's pinned. Sorry. And so we take, there is only one move since that rook is controlling the 9th row, and we conclude like this or like that, but that was a straightforward one. So let's go to the next. Again, there is a cannon at the center of the fortress that may give us some ideas. Yes, taking the horse is a very good idea, since if we are able to bring the rook here, this is kind of checkmate, because this pawn is controlling there and the rook is protected. So we remove the knight there. It can be took with the cannon, but we don't really care, because our idea was to bring the rook there and checkmate. And if, when we take here, the king goes here, we can still checkmate because the rook is protected. And we can see one more time that cannon in the fortress is weak. Let's go for puzzle 73, so 2 more to go after this one. Okay, this one is more interesting than last one. messed up the timer, so we'll have to wait. Sorry. Sorry for the timer. I will write my solution. So here, what we can see is that this pawn is doing a very good job protecting the center. So we would like to kind of threaten this row. The rook cannot achieve anything there, but we have very good cannons that can jump there, and the idea will be exactly the same. So we'll begin with this one. There is only one move, since the king cannot go flee and no other piece can be interposed here to protect. And now we have to find a way to checkmate, and the way to control a row with the cannon is to bring something else. So we bring the knight, and now we achieve checkmate. It would have been exactly the same with the other cannon. No choice. And I show you a tactic that doesn't work here, but if this square was protected by, I don't know, a rook or whatever, we could have sacrificed here. Now let me show you that way. Like pawn takes, and now that would have done a checkmate. And those are things that may work in actual games, like splitting the king, pushing the king far from the pieces that is used to jump over with the cannon. That was just for the example. And let's move to puzzle 74. Yeah, again, not the best puzzle. Alright, so here no risk for the king. The knight is doing a very good job defending that square, and the guard here is blocking the king, so we are thinking about simply controlling the 9th row in order to 99. So yeah, rook 79 to 99, but the question is, why isn't directly checkmate here? It's because there is a cannon here that can jump over the rook, and now we bring the second rook. And 41, 43, what's that? 40. Oops, oh, 41, but 41 is this square, so I don't get what we can achieve from here. I guess you messed up here, but that's not a problem. So let's go for the very last puzzle of today. a summary of what we saw a lot of times, considering how to solve that problem. Here again, a safe king and a fortress that is very desperate for blue, and we can see that there is 1, 2, 3 and only 2 defenses there, so we simply dig with the rook or the pawn, and that's exactly the same end. It's checkmate that way. We could have thought to push the pawn, that would have been kind of checkmate, but it's not working because of the cannon. And here there's no way to conclude. This is not working because of the same problem, and here it's not working directly because of the cannon. So if you simply check the cannon, you can see that just digging in the center is doing the job. So we reached puzzle 75, and next week we'll do puzzle 76 until puzzle 100. And after that, I don't know if I do a next series of checkmate in 2 or if I do checkmate in 3 moves with more time. So maybe tell me next week what you would prefer for the rest. You prefer a more complicated problem with more time to study, so we'll do, like, for example, 10 checkmate in 3 per session, or again 25 checkmate in 2. So we'll decide that next week. So I wish you a good weekend, and stay tuned and stay safe, also considering the context. See you!